So Samsung's latest Galaxy S23 Ultra is a pretty dominant phone in the Android landscape, but Google just launched their new Pixel 8 Pro, and let me tell you, it's no joke. Since launch, the Pixel 8 Pro has been getting unbelievably positive reviews, and although these are both really impressive phones, they honestly couldn't be more different. And I've been using these both side by side, so in this video I want to break down the similarities and differences, as well as show you some actual real-world testing with cameras and speakers and haptics and everything else I could think of to help you decide which of these phones is actually the best Android phone. So let's actually start off with the design. You can see right off the bat, these are super different looking phones. We have three colors on the Pixel: Bay Blue, Obsidian, which is the black one right here, and Porcelain. They're all matte and a really nice smooth finish. And of course they tie in with that classic Google camera bar we've been seeing since the Pixel 6, which I'm personally a really big fan of. I think it ties the whole look together really well. It's very recognizable. And most importantly for me, when you set it on a table, it doesn't wobble back and forth. Now on the flip side, the S23 Ultra is a much boxier design. It also comes in 8 different colors. I'm not even gonna bother naming them all, but the ergonomics of this phone are very different. So although the Pixel 8 Pro is very round and easy to hold, it's also a very slippery phone. So if you set this like on your lap, or if you're just like holding it loosely and you don't have a skin or a case or something on the back, you're probably more likely to drop this one, in my opinion. The Galaxy is a lot boxier, so it's easier to grip the edges on the outside, but again, slightly less ergonomic with the sharp corner down there. I'm personally a fan of boxier looking phones, so I think I like the boxy design. I'm willing to make the compromise for the ergonomics, and I think a lot of Samsung users really like this, being the premium flagship model from Samsung. Of course, the cameras on the back are a totally different design here. You can leave a comment and let me know which one you think looks better. They look great in my opinion. And flipping over to the front then, the boxy design, not just on the square of like the top and the bottom, but also like the entire corners, they're not rounded really at all, which gives you a much more natural square display without, cutting off any of the corners when you're watching media or anything like that. And the displays are actually also slightly different in size. It's kind of hard to tell when you're looking at these, but 6.8 inches there and 6.7 inches on the Pixel. They both have similar displays otherwise, like they both have great color, they're both AMOLED displays, both 120 Hz, and they also go way down to 1 Hz to save the battery. And while I generally say Samsung displays are usually the best on the market, I have to say Pixel actually gets really, really bright here, measurably brighter. You're getting up to 2400 nits on the Pixel 8 Pro versus just 1750. Well, I can't say just 1750. It's still a lot. 1750 on the Galaxy S23 Ultra. So they're both bright, but that's a lot brighter on the Pixel. As far as the feel in your hand, the S23 feels so much bigger, partially because of the boxier edges and also because the Pixel is about 10% lighter. So if you want a bigger, bulkier, like more premium heavy feeling phone, the Galaxy is going to be that. Otherwise, the Pixel is going to be a little bit more approachable for smaller hands. And shifting over to a win for the Galaxy, this is one you're going to notice every single time you take the phone out of your pocket. This is the biometric sign-in. The fingerprint sensor is way better on the Galaxy, in my opinion, being ultrasonic compared to optical. And the benefit here is, first of all, it works better if your hands are wet or different situations like that. And most importantly for me, I don't have to always wake the phone. I don't need to have always on display on. I can just tap the phone even when it's off and just sign in so seamlessly. Like, you don't even realize you do it. You just take your phone out of your pocket and you're signed in. But Google pulled out a sneaky win with the biometrics. Even though the fingerprint sensor is not better on the Pixel, the Face ID is better on the Pixel. So these both just use your camera to sign in if you use Face ID, but the Pixel allows you to actually sign into other apps as well. Not just your phone, but your banking apps, Google Pay, all those other biometric locked things. You can use Face ID for that now. So let's get into a photo and video test. I don't care about megapixels on a camera. I don't think you should either. I think specs on cameras don't always translate, especially on phones, to good quality photos. So let's see some actual examples and figure out just which one's actually better. So I want to highlight some of the key differences between these cameras, but I can't emphasize enough, they're both really advanced camera systems with a lot of intricacies. But kind of in general, a couple key things to keep in mind. One, the Galaxy is going to have more saturated photos, while the Pixel tends to look a little bit more contrasty, but in general, in my opinion, more true to life. The 5x zoom is going to be better on the Pixel, but the 10x is going to be better on the Galaxy. And when we zoom in even further, the Pixel maxes out at 30x zoom, while the Galaxy maxes out at 100x. But honestly, if you just crop in the 30x photo from the Pixel, they look similar-ish. It's going to be more sharpened and more visible on the Galaxy. The ultra-wide photos kind of follow the same exact trend. And then the front-facing shots are really interesting. Super contrasty on the Pixel and a lot more natural, I would say, on the Galaxy. But the Pixel did a slightly better job at edge detection for the portrait mode. Now, this handheld night shot was captured with the Galaxy, which is kind of really not that great compared to the Pixel, which is still not perfect, but looks much more like what my eyes actually saw. So in general, I tend to lean a little bit more towards Pixel for photos, but each one does have its specific strengths. So for the video test, I'll let you be the judge and just kind of leave a comment. Let me know which one you like better. I have to say the Pixel 8 is definitely a big improvement, like a massive improvement in video compared to the 7 Pro. But, you know, we're just looking around. This is the new studio, by the way. You guys haven't really seen this yet. I've got a couch over on this side, and then over on this side, we have a little desk setup. So this is going to be better for, like, I don't know, more like audio recording, voiceover, tutorial video, stuff like that. So 2 setups. And you can see the stability on these. Like, it's pretty solid on both of them, really. But which one do you think looks better? So before we get into probably the biggest difference between these phones being the software, and I have a lot to say about that, let's talk a little bit more about the hardware. So you're looking at $999 for the Pixel 8 Pro, and it comes with 128 gigabytes. For a flagship model, it seems a little bit low in 2023, but I'm happy to save some money there. You can also scale up to 1 terabyte, and it's $1,400 total, compared to the S23 Ultra, which is pretty much always about $200 more expensive. You're looking at $1,199 for the base model, which granted does come with 256 gigs of storage, but you could go up to 1 terabyte, which, like I said, $200 more expensive than the Pixel. It's about $1,600 for that. But with that, Samsung is really always giving you a lot of very nice hardware. You're getting faster charging on the Pixel, 45 watts versus 30 watts, and you are getting a probably better processor on the Galaxy S23 Ultra, being the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 versus Google's Tensor 3 on here. Now, you get to see a quick little app open test. They're both very snappy. They do a decent job, but it could be edging out a little bit more on the Samsung. But that kind of ties me into the features on these phones and the software, and this is really going to be a massive differentiating factor. It's obviously such a matter of preference, but some of the key differences in features, of course, Samsung has Samsung DeX, which is absolutely massive. You could plug this into a projector or a TV or a monitor and have a full desktop interface, connect a mouse and a keyboard. The second thing this has, of course, is this does have that S Pen in there. Now, again, most phones don't have that, so if you're trying to be like a real power user, really productive, this little S Pen right here could be great for taking notes, it could be great for drawing things, signing documents, and this is obviously very integrated in the Samsung ecosystem, so you're getting some advantages with the Galaxy Watch, being able to get an ECG, for example. You also have quick share between Samsung devices, and you have multi-device control. So if you have a Samsung laptop, you can drag your mouse over and copy a photo from your phone, paste it on your laptop. Just, it's really nice that you're in that ecosystem. These do both have a lot of overlapping features as well. So like call screening on the Pixel is kind of being matched by Bixby voice texting on the Galaxy, and we've got like object eraser is kind of on both of them. A lot of the features that they both kind of brag about, they are starting to like really cross-pollinate and get a lot on both phones. But the Google Pixel does have some of its own features that are still very unique to this, one being the thermometer on the back. So being able to point this at whatever you want, boiling water, I don't know, my food or something, and take the temperature. It seems like a gimmick to me. Maybe it'll be useful. Yeah, moving right along. This also has the Google Call Suite. So like I said before, call screening, but also hold for me, direct my call, all those different things that save me a ton of time. It's like having a personal assistant to answer the phone for you. So useful. We also have Now Playing to identify all the songs around you. And probably the biggest one on here, Google is so confident in this phone that they're promising 7 years of operating system updates. That means that you could theoretically still be using this phone in 2030 with the latest version of Android at that time. And of course, Google's been focusing so heavily on AI this year. We're getting an improved Google Assistant, we're getting Audio Magic Eraser, we're getting Magic Editor, we're getting the ability to take a bunch of photos and then it just kind of chooses the best looking face for everybody. Like photos are just not going to be real at all anymore. But you know what? If it gives you a good memory, then that's, I guess, all that really matters there. So ultimately, which of these phones is the better one to buy? Well, I think it comes down to this. If you are caring a lot about photographs, then the Pixel 8 Pro is probably your best bet. I traveled around a lot last year, and most of the time I only brought my Pixel 7 Pro, and the photos were absolutely incredible. And this is an improvement over that. But for anybody who wants to really tinker a lot with settings, or if you're just a total power user, you want the S Pen, you want Samsung DeX, you want to be part of that Samsung ecosystem, which is pretty powerful, and you want that big boxy display with some nice hardware, I mean, the Galaxy S23 is like, it's such a solid phone, it's easy to recommend there. But for basically anybody else who doesn't fit in one of these two categories, like the Pixel 8 Pro is just such an easy recommendation. It's like the iPhone of Androids, has great photos across the board, does a lot of things right, and has some pretty fantastic software that's both very clean and does a lot behind the scenes as well. So that's my take on the Pixel 8 Pro and the Galaxy S23 Ultra. Really impressive phones, but completely different devices. Which one do you think is better?